Mic test, am I live? Okay. Hopefully I am live right now. Let me watch my own stream, make sure everything is fine. And just know, if you're watching this in the future, everything I talked about will be timestamped in the comments and in the description. So if you're watching this in the future, just go there and, I should go over everything I talked about today. So, hold on, let me make the sound, let me make the background music a little bit smaller, okay? So hopefully this is a little bit better. Let me know, before stream starts to see if there's anything can be better. You might notice something's missing. That is the Gyura, or the, I don't know how to say the mecha's name, like Gyura or something like that. But I didn't include that because, truthfully, I don't know much about it at this, stage of Ian. Because again, it is a very, very early release for that mecha, and I have no idea how that mecha would be like, in the current EM meta. So because my experience with it is, that unit being used along with, the other Vatican units, along with the buff that the Vatican product gets. With all of that not existent in EN, I don't know how to use that unit aside from just being a generic, I don't know, a generic tank and a generic DPS. So I have no idea how that works, considering, the different release schedule that the new unit comes. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to wait until, the 44 data for next, the next 44 data to come out. Then I can give you guys an idea of how it is in EM, because that way I will know, people, for those who had already used Gyura, to see how they are in top PvP, of course. So but yeah, for now, I have no idea how it works. I don't even have the unit in NC. I don't have my experience, talking to other top players, and of course, just fighting against it. And it did give me a hard time when you're playing against, Vatican units, if you're using a team that isn't, up to par, right? Which I don't have a meta team, back when I was climbing, and I actually lose to some of those teams before. So I definitely think if you are using it with Vatican teams, it might work. But yeah, I don't know anything. I wouldn't know even more on how it might be, in EN. So that's why. But anyway, I'll talk about Gyura when it comes to EM, when it actually comes to EN. And for now, I will just go over the thing that I do know and stuff for EN. So well, I don't know how it might be for EN, but I can give you guys my my NC things with it. Febby, welcome. Okay, so Febby, welcome. Okay, then without further ado, let's get started. We have a few things to go over today. I kind of want to see if I can get it over within an hour. So let's see how that goes. Meow, hi, meow. Hello, welcome. Yeah, welcome. So, let's just go over the news today. So it's mainly just the Scourge of God, along with Rework that came out, which I just talked about, and of course we'll go over his Awaken as well. Maybe it'll be the first thing I go over today, because I think that's most impactful for most players. And aside from that, it's just a Kaguya balance adjustment, or the rework, or whatever you want to call it. And here's the description of what happened, what was changed. I'll get into how Kaguya is like when I get to him, but for now, let's just get started. So what do you have here? I can see I haven't been playing for too long, with my stamina count, just by liking the players on EN, because I've just been super busy lately. Also, happy Halloween for those who do celebrate it. So so what was I gonna do again? Okay, so let's start with Night Awaken. Why not? Where's I don't, because okay, so I'm just gonna say Black Knight Awaken, because I don't know how to call, I don't know how to call because I don't know how to call the English name for him. So let me see where he is. So I actually got some there's actually some interesting question, people asking, oh, this Awaken doesn't look that strong, but well, it doesn't actually look that strong, because a lot of them are just, I guess, number increases, but the numbers are impressive. The numbers are quite impressive. But the main stick of this thing, or the main, things about this unit is that, or for this Awaken, is that I think he's the second pilot that has built in well, not just that built in, or that can stack, or I guess the first one that can really stack protection against 4 CCs. And again, for those who don't know, 4 CCs started from Lilith are basically the, you know, the C, or I mean started earlier, I think, for knockdowns. Basically, it will give your mecha, or the opponent's whatever effect it was, it will make your units perform an action, a bad action, so you know your units will be vulnerable, and you know, sometimes you can interrupt a whole, you know, XO and such. So it is a very strong, like a force control of your mecha. That is the main control, you know, in modern PvP. Even till now, you know, most of the CC are, you know, forcing your units to perform something that it is not supposed to perform. It might be a knockdown, it might be a spin, it might be a whatever, right? So Knight, I think, is the first pilot that can really stack a lot of protections, making your units completely immune to those type of things. So being, you know, completely immune to Lilith spin, completely immune to, you know, the forced knockdown that come from pretty much all the XL now, you know, at this point. And a lot of them has, you know, a full mag knockdown. So even if you're not a target of the units, you might still get hit because of the AoE. So having a pilot that can stack a lot of the protections in PvP is very strong. So even if his skill doesn't look that impressive, that skill alone, the fact that he can stack alone, like the stacked or just stacked anti 4 CC alone, are very strong already. So his first skill basically activate. I only talk about the important, you know, stuff about, you know, about each skill. I won't go into every single one of them, but for the first one is basically it will change all the move that is under 5-second cooldown into his old active skill, but now there's a counter. Probably the strongest active skill in the game at the moment, because it literally changed all of the, you know, most of the move that is under 5 seconds are not good moves. So after you activate the skills, and all those skills become counters, it's actually like, it is not a bad counter either. So, and it can also be used to stack the second skills, you know, anti 4 CCs. So basically, it will make a unit completely, I guess, without any bad moves, because, you know, the other moves that you'll be using are stronger moves, because, you know, all those moves have, you know, more than 5 seconds cooldown. So, yeah, probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, active skill in the game at the moment, just because it is pretty awesome. And then the second one, now this is a skill where every time you use an counter, it will basically give you like a certain amount of cooldown. How many was that? 5 seconds, very strong, and you can also stack as well. So, you know, because, you know, most of the counters, or especially the counter that Black Knight gives for his active skill are pretty quick. So if you can use a lot of that in a row, then you can potentially have, you know, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and a lot of seconds of anti 4 CCs, where it can keep you, that can basically cover the entirety of your X ult. Like, for example, you use a lot of counters and then you use your X ult, and that X ult wouldn't be, you know, interrupted by enemies, you know, Lilith, knockdown, or whatever, because you are completely protected within the stacked durations. So yeah, it's also very strong second skill as well. The only other skill right now that have anti 4 CC are, I think, the Duchess, the Arsley, whatever her name was, that skill, when she get hits, she will get like, you know, built up buff, that skill. So, and this skill is a lot more better, because again, you can stack this for a long time, you know, if you get lucky and such. So, but yeah, very OP. Now this combo was a little bit I guess bugged out back then, because as you guys know, that those force NXCCs are the enemy units giving your units, you know, in action, right? So what happened was, the active skill changed every single of those skills into a counter, and that just made this unit completely unbeatable, because, you know, everything, you know, every time it get knocked down, it would, instead of being knocked down, it will do the counter. Every time it get, you know, spin or get stopped by, you know, cheating or something like that, it will immediately do a counter, which will stack even, which all of them will be protected by, you know, the anti 4 CC. Now, before the fix, it was not stackable, but because it fixed such a OP strat, what it got was that you can now stack as, you know, anti 4 CCs, which I think is a good trade-off. But it was a little bit too broken back then, because it's just immune to all CCs at the time. So, but anyway, best, probably the best accuracy in the game, and second skill can stack a lot of NSCC. So these two skill alone already makes this unit very usable. Now the fourth and the third and the fourth skill are just survivability and damage and such. Nothing too crazy. It's just let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy. Just increased damage, increased stats, just your usual number gains, which might not look impressive. I mean, I'm pretty sure it is impressive for for those who know the game, but it is just good skills. Not I guess not anything worse than what we had before. So along with these skills that can give him more survivability and more damage, as well as the protection from the active skill and different encounters and stacking of the stacking of the protections, make this unit a really top tier unit. Now I don't think it will be as strong as something like Hongwu yet, mainly because of the restriction that this unit's had. Because again, you kind of want to use a unit that either have a lot of counters, or use a unit that that has a lot of moves that is under 5 seconds, so you can use those counters to build up the protections. If you don't like, if the mecha doesn't have, I guess, if the mecha doesn't have either of those, then it might not be a good pick for the Black Knight, because it just wouldn't be stacking as much of the of the how do you say, of the protection. So that kind of just kills the whole point of his Awaken. Although he might have a good stats on both for both offensive and defensive, again, his whole thing is stacking the protections. So yeah, that's kind of one of the limitations that he has. He also doesn't want to use units that have special skills that might also be a hindrance to the ability to, or I guess units with longer animations or skill that doesn't like, I guess Feng Huang's protection skill, or the 10-second protection action or something like that. Like, you don't want it to use those. You want it kind of also to keep on moving, keep on getting hit, keep on getting keep on doing counters, and just and when it is not doing the counters, it will do it will do the exalt. That's kind of what you want to do. So and of course your units need to have a sword in order for, I guess, one of his skill to activate. Yeah, so you kind of want to use that for her for his third skill, which, I mean, most of the units that you want to use him on, like his Awaken on, does have a sword, so I don't think you need to worry about that. But definitely take a look at the the list before you just before you put him in, right? You would be surprised on who doesn't have a sword. So alright, so that should be its breakdown, and the unit that we'll be using on him is let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so of course we're gonna be using the one of the latest units right now, the RG, the Griffith Mecha, because one of the thing about the Griffith Mecha is that it spams exo, right? It spams exo when it gets hits, right? Now it doesn't have any protections, so every time it's that spend his AoEs and stuff, if we're to hit like something like a monkey, like the Cheetan or something, right, then you immediately get stopped, because Cheetans have the the little ring around it that can force enemy to perform a T-pose or something like that. So now with him on it, first of all, he was RG will stop using all the skill. He does have a lot of skill that is under 5 seconds, and he will stop using any of the bad skills. And well, I don't think the dodge, like, I'm not sure if the dodge will be turned into one, but a lot of people does use RG on or him on RG, so I'm gonna assume that it is pretty good. But if it doesn't, definitely let me know that as well. But because a lot of people use him, or I guess when he first come out, use him on RG, I do believe there is some synergy into that. I probably should have done some tests, but yeah, well, I think I'll probably test it right now. Let's see how this goes. So give me a second. Let's see if the counters does, gets converted into this. Okay, no, it doesn't seem like it. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, never mind. Hold on. Does it? Does it now? Okay, I think now it is just performing. It's Wait, hold on a second. I don't think it might just be. No. I don't think so. Hold on. Yeah, because it does the but either way though, you can see how even, you know, like the even okay, yeah, so I think it definitely needs, yeah, I think it definitely requires like an active skill in order for that to activate. Yeah, so it telling you only have one, but to be honest, I think one is enough, especially for RG, and especially for how RG works. Because again, you really want a unit that can provide at least some kind of, you know, action protections for RG, you know, or just for your most unit that has a really AoE XO and such. It can help your units to stay, you know, to finish the XO actually and do the damage and do the CC and such, right? So, and the build is your standard, you know, RG build and such. But the difference is that you can use different co-pilot skill with him. As you guys know, this girl, I think this girl is the girl that he was holding in this art. So I believe she always have a very good what's called a very good I guess, how do you say, is very happy with him, so he'll get the most amount of stats. And of course, both of his or both of her co-pilot skill, I believe, are also very good on him. For the support, I think it's just overall good on anyone. Like, you can work on both Knight, and of course, if you want to use it, and of course, her special are also very good. But again, her special is a little bit more mecha dependent, because you don't want, you know, the main weapon, like the first weapon, to be, you know, fist for her to work. And a lot of units does have fist as their first weapon. So, but most of the time you'll probably be using support with Knight, because Knight still, I think it's still better into this meta to, I guess, be more to be more, I guess, to have higher survivabilities, especially after, you know, the quote-unquote nerf from a lot of the units before, I think, like before Yoshi, I think, I'm not too sure the exact time, but this one give a good amount of, you know, fan damage reduction, and of course, every 1 second it will also heal 1% HP, as well as, you know, it'll also do that for your closest, you know, ally as well. So a pretty strong move that you almost always want to take on the battlefield into this meta. I mean, if you don't have her, that is fine as well. In fact, you can actually use some units, like, or especially for Knight, you can actually use her, so he can activate his active skill, you know, much sooner, which again, you do want him to use his active skill as soon as possible, right? So what else? And her special is pretty offensive, you know, for when he's against, you know, other units that has the same, you know, same type of weapon types. It will do 60% more final damage value, which is nothing to scoff at. Again, it does require, you know, the first hand to be, you know, the same weapon as the pilot, or as the mecha that the Black Knight Awaken is piloting, which, you know, will probably be the unit, you know, or like would be a unit that doesn't have fist as his first weapon. So, but yeah, anyway, it was increased, you know, just normally increased melee damage, and also increase the range, which is, you know, just always pretty good. So I believe that should be it about Knight Awaken. Just again, use him on pilot, or use him on units that have either a good counter or multiple counters, or just a unit maybe with a really bad, I guess, normal attacks, because most units only have one. Like, most units only have their default attack that is under 5 seconds, that can, you know, that can be that can trigger most of the time. So, but yeah, and of course for the co-pilot skill, I mean, most of the meta co-pilot skill would work, but I think, you know, using her on it, because, you know, she always have a good mood with Knight, of course. So using her, you know, if you want to go defensive, you can use her support skill. You can, if you want to go offensive, you can use her, you know, special skills. And of course, if you don't have her, which, you know, she is a fairly new pilot, you can of course go with the older pilot, which is, you know, her special. Jesus Christ. You know, you use her special Where's her? Where's she again? You can also use her special to activate her active skill sooner, and of course, some other, more stronger ones as well. But for him, specifically, I think the skill are a lot better because he does have the best active skill in the game. So, alright, so that should be it about him. And for future mecha, right? Like for example, you can have a meme build with him with Gunbuster and such. I mean, it's not a meta build, but it is something fun you can do. I can just show you guys right now, like something fun that he can do, with Knight, because Gunbuster does have a stance move that it does, like for example, like it does every single time. But after you activate active skill, you can see that every time you try to do that move, it become a that move, and it will just not stop because it constantly does that little move every 1 second. So it just counter endlessly. So it's not meta. I mean, it is usable, but it's not meta compared to using him and such, right? So, but just demonstrating how his skills work. And for mechas that will be good with him, I will just go I would just go into I would just talk about it when by the mecha, and for now just keep that keep what I said in mind on his mecha pilot choice. So also saying welcome. Yeah, so anything, hold on. I don't want to test something real quick again, just to make sure if I'm doing everything right. Because let's see. So if I were to activate, this skill, right? Not attacked yet. So does he activate the skill whenever he dashes? Let's see. See if I can dash. Come on. Let me just scroll back again. Scroll back. Jesus Christ. Scroll back. Okay. Dash. Do your dash. Do your dash. Hold on. You know what? I'll do my attack. Yeah. Okay. So I do think it does convert, the dashes into as well. Yeah, because there's no reason. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So my bad again. So yeah. Yeah. Definitely should have tested again. Yeah. My bad again. So it does work on skill that that is defensive, dodge. I probably should have known this earlier, but I don't remember exactly if it does. But well, I'm glad to test it on stream right now. So that means he have like 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 counters from his active skill, and of course RG also have his built-in counter, which is that, and it's fairly quick. I mean, actually, never mind, it's not very quick, but it should be able to finish before the protection run out. So again, just more protection that I can get. So this unit get a total of 1 2 3 4 5 counters, if counting his own counter, and just making this unit have no bad move at all. So yeah, pretty awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I tested it, on stream and such. Alright, so that should be it about the Black Knight Awaken. What's next? Okay, so let's get into Kaguya Kaguya Rework first. Kaguya Rework. To put it bluntly, right? It is a toy. It is just a toy. Because players who can get Kaguya easily most likely have 4, if not more, units that is better than Kaguya in today's meta. More than likely. Like I couldn't think of anyone who can get Kaguya easily, or have Kaguya for a long time, and like as a veteran, and not have a unit that is better than Kaguya in top PvP at the moment. And for new players, they're not going to be getting Kaguya this easily. It is a fairly strong poster for players who's not a vet yet. So new players wouldn't be able to get this easily, and old players or like veterans, especially top players, is not going to need this unit because even though he's even though Kaguya is very, very strong now, like much stronger than how it was before, and a lot of and a lot of the 2024 units, it is just not the 2025 PvP-able I mean, it is like it is doable, I guess, in Apex. Like, if you really lax unit in Apex, but you know, you have better units. I'm pretty sure you have better units than Kaguya. For veterans and for new players, you definitely don't want to go farm for Kaguya, for sure. Don't roll this unit. You will be wasting your rolls, because again, even when like on his debut, it is already not great, you know, in PvP. So yeah. But anyway, and of course you wouldn't have the resources and such, you know, to get it if you were a new player. So it is just a toy for veterans. You know, veterans who can get this unit easier will have, you know, would have a little toy that they can play around with, you know, as or I guess a tool for them to use in Abyss mode or something like that. Which that's the only uses I can really see her do, because she does have, you know, HP to you know, final damage. Value to scaling, which, you know, can be a good DPS if you just stack HP. It's not gonna be stronger than anything, you know, like if you have a better fire units, which I don't think there is one at the moment. So perhaps you can use him as a, you know, fire DPS in something like a Fire Abyss or something like that. So, but yeah, but let's talk about PvP at the moment. So in PvP, there is no way you should use Hongwu. Like, this is speaking if you're gonna be using Kaguya in Apex, because in 4v4 again you have better units. Go use those units. But in Apex, right? In Apex, then maybe you can use this unit because maybe you don't have, you know, up to 8 or 12 units that is, you know, strong enough, you know, in Apex, right? Or maybe in Zenith, if your good units are all banned, then this is maybe the time you can use Kaguya as like a filler unit that you can use that's at least strong enough to maybe take out some of the older, you know, generation units from that. And the only pilot that can think of that fits all of this role, like, because you're not gonna be using the Black Knight Awaken, you're not gonna be using Hongwu, you're not gonna be using even Byron on it, right? Because, you know, those units will probably be on a better units that you have. So the only unit that I think will be useful on, you know, Kaguya would probably be her Awaken. I forgot her name again. Tau Awaken. Yeah, Tau Awaken. Maybe you can also use a fire, the 2 fire awakens, but they are way too outdated. So like, I really wouldn't use that. Like, you might as well put, you know, Byron on or something. So the only unit. So after, you know, consideration, the only unit that I think will fit, you know, because, you know, if you were to put Hongwu on it, obviously you will do good, but you know, it'll be a waste of Hongwu. You should put Hongwu on the better units that you definitely has. So Kaguya, or because Kaguya, one of the things that I got is that it gets also assume that is Awaken, because I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to Awaken or like retrofit it just for the skin. So where's Kaguya again? Let me check. Kaguya Awaken, there you go. Or Kaguya retrofit. So one of the things you got is the what's called, when you get attacked, you can actually go turn invisible. Yeah, there you go. You can actually turn invisible, and it's for like 2 seconds ish or something. It's good enough. You know, it's good enough for survivability, and it is extra stealth for Tau. So I think because of that, it is potentially usable on Tau. And the thing about Tau is, the Tau doesn't. I mean, you know, Tau, you want to use a unit that that can at least keep her alive. The unit is modern enough for that to happen ish. If you're, again, in Apex, if you're not finding a meta team, and even if your Kaguya is lacking a little bit, right? Let's say if your Kaguya is lacking a little bit against enemies, let's say against enemies Surge of God or something like that, right? Tau can potentially help you out by potentially one-shotting, you know, one of the enemy's units because of Tau, right? So it's more about Tau if you were to be using this build of his strength. So, but anyway, because you know, Kaguya does have a little bit of stealth, and combined with, you know, just I guess a good modern build for Kaguya, I think it can potentially work in Apex as in like an assassin, like an RNG assassin or something like that. because again, I couldn't think of a good pilot that you wouldn't be using on something else, right? Maybe edit like those generic good pilots that you can probably use that is a bit outdated, but like still good, I guess. Because again, you want to use your good pilots on the better units that you have, and again, the only one I can think of is gonna be Tau. So, because I don't think there's a really good stealth mecha that's out, recently in Ian, right? Or at least a unit that plays into stealth, in Ian at the moment. So let me double check again. So perhaps this unit could potentially be a good Tau pilot for PvP. But of course, test it out yourself, because it's not like I'm playing in Apex at all lately. I haven't been playing for a long time. I'm just keeping it at 5,000. But that is how I will use it if I were to be using it. So yeah. Let me just check. How do I check Ian's okay, hold on. Where do I see? Where do I find it? There's no. Hold on. I think I have a sort of badge. I do use sort of badge. There you go. Yeah. So does Ian? Yeah, I don't really think so. I think the only one probably, I think the latest one will probably be like, Loki or something like that. No, I don't even know if Loki has it. But yeah, so I guess, or I guess Warp. So I guess Kaguya could probably be a good candidate for now, in the moment. So yeah. So that's the PvP build, and for the builds, it's just basic good modern build. For the co-pilot skill, I'm using her because Kaguya does have Kaguya does have a sword as its first weapon, and it is not a fist. And you can if the opponents just happens to also be using sword weapon, that can potentially the 60% final value can potentially give a lot for Tau in order to one shot enemy easier. So. Oh, okay, I will be going to, questions after I finish about the thing, so then we stay tuned on that. And I'm using the Pisces mainly because, big damage, potentially get more Pisces. Kaguya is gonna need that. Although it does get out of jail skill, although it does get a lot of modernized, abilities, you still kind of want. And compared to units today, it's not gonna be surviving that that well. So yeah, that's why I'm using Pisces. Just so you don't want that. And Gaia, and Gaia is usually the only code now, unless for some other civilian pilots. Armored Firmseal as always. For the support, using the blue batteries, and I'm using Fire Sword mainly because I hope that this thing can trigger more of Kaguya's skill that can remove HP. I don't know if it can, but I think overall it's just good. It is a good it's just a default sort of go for PvP for fire units. But of course, if it doesn't really work like how I imagine it will be, then you can probably go for something like this one just for more CCs, because again other ones, I mean, although some other ones might work, I'm not really sure how effective they are compared to using this one just to just to reduce your enemies how do you say, just to reduce your enemies skill, like, yeah, cooldown just a little bit. But for now, I'm putting this on just for just more fire damage, potentially to trigger more of more of Kaguya's how do you say skills and such. Or if you were to using some other more fire specific pilots and such, that can potentially work as well. And now for the core, I'm just conflicted on using this one or using this one. I'm picking this sun looking core mainly just because hopefully it can like keep it alive just a little bit longer. So yeah, but I'm gonna put this on just because I think this one wouldn't go wrong. You wouldn't really go wrong with that one as well. So anyway, this sun looking core, just for more survivabilities, and can potentially help a team as well. But the thing is, Kaguya isn't really that spamming on his actions, so I feel like going for this core will also be fine. Just so your Kaguya is moving a little bit more as well. That can be something good too. But I'm using this Scourge to play a little bit more safer, and something like this will be the the build I will be using if in Apex if I have to use him, or if I have to use Kaguya. So. Alright, so now to a PvE build, but for now, let me answer the question so far. So, I just came back after 3 years. Is there any meta mecha coming out that I should roll for? I gotta tell you, we don't know what's gonna come in soon. In Ian, because yeah, Ian's schedule is very how do you say? It's very weird right now. Like, we got Gura so early on. So if you haven't been playing for 3 years, right? Let me see the Ian banner at the moment. So I think what you can do is I think you can roll for the new player market right now. You can try to get Lancelot of the Lake to 7-star. Lancelot of the Lake to 7-star can definitely help you get through or I guess can carry you through a lot of things, because it is a tank. You can do damage. You can also just tank damage. It can do everything, and you don't need to know how to build this unit, because this unit can just exist on the field and it'd be fine. So if you get an even new player who haven't been playing for 3 years, this unit can cover a lot of things. It wouldn't cover PvE DPS though. Which for that you can probably gonna save a little bit, because there isn't so to 7-star. And what you don't want to roll is you don't want to roll you don't want to roll this unit. You also don't want to roll you might not want to roll this unit, because you probably want to save for Gunbuster, or a collab unit that might be coming up soon that is more usable on on all fronts. But I think Lancelot Lake is a good unit to get for now. Like, I mean, this unit is not a future unit, but if you came back to this game and okay, don't use LOZ until there are roulette right now. Yeah, there are roulette right now. So wait until after the roulette. So after you use up all the roulette of this collab, then you can consider using it if you still don't have it as 7-star. And reminder, you can redeem one in the event. You can redeem a copy in the event. So kind of redeem this unit first, so you got 1 copy, so you only need to roll 2 copies. And after all the roll is finished, like even the roll from even the free rolls in the shop, after all of those is done, then you can probably considering considering using the alloy on it if you didn't get it, if you already pity one. Like, it's like, and pity as in like if you get it near 100 rolls. So if you spend all the tickets on it already, like let's say if you roll 90 times and you finally got it, then you can probably use LOZ on it, because yeah, you probably don't want to spend another 100 just for that, just for that 1 more copies. So yeah, get the free copies and see if you can get it in free rolls, and then try to roll the last and try to at least roll a copy. And if you couldn't get it if you only got it near pity, which is near 100 rolls, then you can probably considering to alloy it, or maybe you can considering doing that after you roll the after you roll a copy of it, because combine that copy with the free copy that you get, that 6-star, and you can just redeem it for 7-star, and you can just start saving. That can also work as well. So that's my thing on it. Just wait until the free roll is done, and wait until you get the free copies of that, and it should be all good. All right, so let's get into the PvE builds on Kaguya. Now, it's PvE build is straightforward. You just stack final damage increase. Make sure you have the plus 20 armor thing on, or the armor optimization on. Just more final damage, because I don't think it changes a lot of hands, so you couldn't be using the better DPS, which is this one, which again most of the good DPS uses this one now, because it is just built in Rebellios. So you want to use this one, you want to use this one just for more DPS, and then after that just stack HP, because it does have the final damage to or HP to final damage stats increase, so that's why I'll be using it. And now for the pets, most of the time this is the best one, but the thing is it doesn't work for fire type damage, so you don't want to use this unit. You don't want to use this pet. You can use other ones that adds one, like for example, if you were here, during the Kaguya Calamity Ian, or if you don't have the other unit, you can probably use something like the Bison, of course, will work as well. I am using the Firework Rabbit because, yeah, the reason why I'm using Linda on it instead of Spike is because, yeah, Kaguya's action is really slow, to put, to say the least, right? Very slow. So potentially, hopefully, the Fire Rabbit can help a little bit. But I think Benson will be a little bit more consistent, I should say. Yeah, that doesn't really have much. So it's not a good DPS. But if this is the best fire DPS you got, then you probably can use this one. Like, it's definitely not as good as something like, KT, that a blue fire, person and stuff like that. Or I don't think so, at least. So yeah. And for the combat skill, just use the best DPS. Like, for example, like this one adds the most DPS, the most amount of melee final damage value increase. Or and same thing goes for other DPS pilots. For example, if you were to be using Spike, then you probably want to use her, which is a better DPS pilot as well. But I'm just going back to Linda and then going back to putting on the best DPS. Pretty straightforward. I don't think you can do the job of CCs. There are just better units for that. It is really just like a fire DPS for your Abyss or something like that. Like that's really about it. Because okay, Becca's is not that great anymore. But I mean, you can refund it, so that's good. Just don't get him over level 80. Just don't get any pilots over level 80. What you want to go for is Hongwu. I can probably because I got the good ones. Yeah. Hongwu. Yeah. Hongwu Black Knight. Yeah. Hongwu Black Knight. I want to see of the good one that is Hongwu Black Knight. Maybe Byron. Yeah, Tao Byron. I mean, actually, no. Yeah. Okay, Hongwu Byron. Yeah, Hongwu Byron. Oh no. Hongwu the Black Knight. Rhea, so got support, and I actually don't know what is the best afterwards. I guess Byron. Yeah, Byron, Hongwu, Knight, and Rhea. Specifically for you because you don't have anyone yet. For most players, they're just Awaken the most meta ones at the moment. But if you were to get Rhea, Byron, Hongwu, and Black Knight, they can cover you in to get through the early stages, and after that you can start getting more other ones that will be more fitting for those situations, right? So that can work as well. All right. Anyway, where are we at? Okay, so now finally we can go to Surge of God. So Surge of God is only I mean you can use it in PvE because I think it is the top explosive damage, but again, it is the same thing as freaking Kaguya. It's just, I guess, just for explosive bosses, which is rolling for explosive, for rolling for PvE purposes. It just doesn't make any sense, but anyway, this is the unit that you want to avoid because, not because it is unusable, but like it is not worth it. You get 1 copy for free, but you do need to roll 3 copies in order for it to work. Because you do need HP, you do need a weapon. So you need weapons, you need chassis, you need actions, and you need, weapon, chassis, action, and, Jesus Christ. Chassis, weapon, actions, So that's 3 copies after the, you know, the initial 5 stars. So yeah, and of course I think, does he have HP skillings? He does have, wait, no. He actually doesn't have HP skillings, so I guess HP is not necessary, but again, you know, having more HP is always good at the moment. So, but either way, you need this unit to be at A star, and after you get it to A star, you also need a specific awaken that you probably shouldn't awaken unless, you know, unless you have extra resources, that is being Nadia Awaken and Tapper Awaken, which, yeah, they are not, you know, meta by any means. Like a lot of times when you're using this in PvP or in high level PvP, is usually being carried, or I guess, you know, your other units being, your other teammate being a lot stronger, thus allowing your Surgical God to do, you know, what it wanted to do. So yeah. It's it's just not worth it, right? The thing that you get, because, you know, if you were to get this unit, who are you gonna replace it with, right? It's not gonna be better than Hana Sigma, it's not gonna be better than Gura, it's not gonna be better than RG, it's not gonna be better than Lens Out of the Lake, right? It might be able to do better than them against a specific team or in some scenarios, but you might as well use the other, you know, you might as well just use whoever you replaced, and it might be more consistent that way. So yeah, in top PvP is not worth it, and in PvE, you know, it's really only just for explosive type, or like explosive only PvE bosses or stages, which again, you shouldn't roll, you know, 3 copies of a unit, you know, after the free ones, just for something like that you only want, that you only use it, you know, once in a while, and by the time, you know, the next one come, there might already be a better one. So yeah, or a more worth it one. So it's not a worthy mecha to go, even if you're a top player, because it would literally just be sitting in your inventory for most of the time. It was using Zenith a lot, or it was using Zenith back then because, you know, of course, you know, the top units are banned, and it's kind of like the time for, you know, for this unit to shine. But again, even then, it is not really worth it because it's Zenith, right? Just give it a few months, like, you know, the unit that got unbanned will be, you know, equal to, like, similar, if not equal to, if not better, if not better than, you know, this unit. Especially when, again, this unit require specific pilots to do better, because again, it is not a unit that you want to spend your good units on. If it would, you know, if they would even work, because this unit actively is not good with, you know, Home Awaken, because Hongwoo's because his whole thing is when it gets attacked, it will perform like a little nuke on it, you know, on his body, and this nuke is not an action, so that means it won't trigger that this thing wouldn't trigger Hongwoo's, you know, skills, or just any skill that is related to action activations, and it might even cut, you know, Hongwoo's own action that he triggered from his skills, thus making Hongwoo legitimately not good on this unit. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I would assume for most of other, you know, action-based skills, because, you know, it might just cancel your own action to use that skill. Now, granted, that is a good skill, but because it is a good skill and everything else that does kind of sucks, you might as well just, you know, just take advantage of that. That is only really used. Like, it's only real uses, you know, here. So actually, right, I think we shouldn't actually use Pisces on it, because then, you know, Pisces actually prevents the unit from being, you know, from activating. So that's kind of a bummer. I mean, in top PvP now, it might not happen, you know, that often. Because, you know, in top PvP, you might, you know, your Pisces might be gone pretty quickly. But let me just double check again, just make sure it is right. So I guess attack, yeah, it does that. I mean, the damage does go into Pisces, which is kind of interesting. But it wouldn't be activated, so Pisces, so definitely not use Pisces. I don't know why I was using Pisces. I just thought maybe it just needs more some abilities. Yeah, RIP. Then if not Pisces, then you probably want to use something like something like this one. Yeah, I guess. Such a it's hard to build as well. Actually, yes, it's even harder. But you will need to know what you're doing in order to actually build it well. But anyway, so let's start with things. So God's Whip. Now, I think most of his actions are nothing too special. Most of his whip as well, but you do require the second weapon activations in order for his chassis or first chassis to work, because when it get attacked, it will reduce cooldown by 12%, be immune, and also regen 12%, and will activate that weapon, which again is his whole thing. Like it is his whole thing. Just get hit, activate the weapons, maybe kill the enemies with that, with Nadia, something like that, and boom, and repeat. That's basically just how it usually works. So, and of course, so Sports Tag will also give the enemies the 30% of the fire damage increase. So is it? Yeah, it's not bad. Just 30% more fire type damage. That's pretty good. And of course, the usual 40% final damage value up. And when explosive attack hits the enemies, it will give it will get one layer of something like a little debuff. And for every layer of that, it will do less damage to God's Whip, and it will also its explosive damage taken will also increase. So that's actually a very good skill for explosive type bosses, which again, don't roll this unit just because you couldn't get through explosive bosses or something like that. So, but anyway, it is like if there's ever an explosive team in the future, then God's Whip will probably be usable in that front. But for now, we don't really have that yet, so let's not do that. But anyway, when it gets to 50 layers, and every second, or every 0.3 second, it will reduce one. So yeah, if enemies got max of layers, it will go into 10 seconds of the super mode and such like that. And that will give explosive attack one extra pure damage or fixed damage, which is pretty good. If if the enemy were to eat like the whole counter little the counter, or like the weapon exposure things while they're in this mode, it can be pretty devastating for the enemy, especially if you have Nadia on, because Nadia had the skills, outside from her other main armament skills. She does have the skill where the main armament have a 10% chance to do damage that ignores all defense and such, which can potentially go through some potentially ungo-throughable things in the meta. So you combine if the units are in the super mode, and if you are using it with Nadia, you can potentially RNG kill someone very, very quickly just from one or two activation of his little how do you say, his little also welcome. Thank you for the follow, Sophia Young. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. Thank you. Sorry if I'm talking about just a random game right now, because this is going live on YouTube, where I'm giving like a lesson on this game. Anyway, so just an RNG Mecha exploder for the enemy team, and of course it does give some CCs, so that's also good. But we are starting to get units that have or like pilots that have anti protection CCs, because I think it does force knockdown enemies, which can be pretty good, and I think it's multi hits as well. So that means it can prevent Hongwu from getting up right away, or it will be constantly not knocking Hongwu down, something like that, which is pretty good. But again, with the rise of anti-CC and such, and if this unit doesn't get killed, before it kills other people by himself, it can potentially be pretty good, RNG kill people in one shot or something. Again, it'll be very, very, you need to be very lucky. Anyway, now to the builds. Now for the core, I'm using this core just because, even though his action is nothing too crazy, you might as well use this one just for some anti, CC protection. So hey, maybe combine Nadia, combine the super mode, potentially can kill enemy or do some damage, with this skill. Now that he has protections when he uses X ult. So I think for most medium range units, I think this core are a must, because again, there is, giving protection from force action CCs are few and far between. Now for the and now for the bullets. Now for the bullets, you can use this one. This is basically like the explosive version of the fire sword. But of course, if you don't have this unit, which you shouldn't some badge this part just for this unit. If you were to get it, you probably can stay with Ether Shell. It might be even more consistent than using the explosive skill, because Ether Shell does ignore shield, and all that such as well. If you want to go for RNG, you might as well go even more in RNG, and that can potentially be even better. So, but we will see though, of course. And now for the support. And from what I heard, like there is little difference between this one and like between these two bullets. From what I heard, now I don't know, because I tried both before, and to be honest, I couldn't really see any difference either. So probably because it is mostly carried by my other teammates when I was using him. Or when I was using Scourge of God. Anyway, now for the support, just use the battery. No other. I don't think there's any other one that you want to use. And for the what's it called? Just armor for just firm steel. Nothing too crazy. Guy up coat just in case when you get knocked down. It's probably you're probably gonna get knocked down a lot, considering this unit again. There's a lot of AOE knockdowns to this day. Just hopefully you can get some survivability from that. And now for the pets, yeah, I'm just using Scorpion just for, again, more RNG, more damaging, just more. Hopefully you can kill the enemy before it kills you from from the counters, or from the little from the weapon explosion counter thing. So yeah, that's why I think using this. Of course, you can use other ones, like you can even use this one. I mean, I think it would be better if this one's on something else. But I think the snake will definitely work. But again, you're probably using snake on something better, right? Because you get one free. You probably should use the snake on someone better. Of course, if you're even auto play, you can probably even use the crab as well. You can probably use some other older better for PvP. But I guess if you want to go for survivability, snake would be a good one. If you don't want to go, but if you want to go for RNG, killing people faster, you can probably go for something like Scorpion. That can definitely work. I'm putting on the snake just because I think it's probably a bit more safer, because it is just, yeah. Anyway, let's go into the co-pilots. Not co-pilots, just defense. Get your best defensive pilots out. I'm using her, which is this girl. Her co-pilot skill, the aggro enemy, give your pilots some immunity. So yeah, I think this is the best one for this unit, because yeah, it will want that aggro, it would want that damage immunity and such, for sure. But if you don't have her, just give your best one. Get your best defensive skill out there. Scourge of God is going to need that for sure. So yeah, hopefully, but the thing is just hopefully, and I'm pretty sure your Mori will probably be on some other units as well. But I feel like if you're using Scourge of God in a team, you probably should use Mori on her instead. So yeah, so this is the PvP build for Scourge of God. I think there's no, I think it's just pretty default. And of course, if you want to, you can also use Tapper as well. Oh, hold on. Oops. Whatever. Yeah, you can probably use Tapper as well, and Tapper also have defense. So just use the best defensive pilots, and that will definitely work as well. Now onto the PvP. Now I actually don't know much about how it be used in PvE, but let's just go for it, right? So I don't think it changes a lot of weapons, so I think you will have to be using the margin core on it. So wait, hold on. This is not the, yeah. But definitely check though. Check wiki and see how much see how long it see how much it changes its what's called its weapons. But for now, I'm just gonna be using the the default. Now, I'm not sure about this one. I think you want to use this because Super Office can probably be a bit more better, because I don't think all of his damage are melee type damage. So it doesn't have any HP scalings. It's another downside to it. I don't even know which one, like which Cobra Cell you want to use on this unit, just to show again it's not worth it to, you know, get this unit. I'm probably just gonna use a fist, because the fist probably, I'm pretty sure it does have some melee units, and I do think it does scale with the first weapon anyway, so I think it should be fine, or at least for the actions. And then now for the co-pilot skill, probably just something like this, and then just something like this, or just some other stuff. Yeah, should be fine. And then for the pets, probably this one. Yeah, probably this one. Now for the co-pilot skill, which is a best DPS, and done. Something like this, just for DPS. Yeah, it definitely cannot be boss CC. I mean, you can use it as boss CC, but you probably definitely have a better units for, you know, for that. But for now, yeah, I think this, just something like this will probably be the DPS build. So. Alright, so that should be Surge of God. Don't roll for this unit. It is a new trap. Use a roulette roll. Like, if you already have this unit, you know, if you already have Lens of the Lake at 7-star, just roll for us. You know, just roll for a 8-star or 9-star. That's all. Like, if you don't get it, then it's whatever. Just, you know, it's just extra stats, right? So yeah. Anyway, so that should be it about that should be about Surge of God. So let's get into the pilots, or his new pilots. I'm just gonna go into it in here. I talked about last time on how they are, you know, work, so I'm just gonna talk about it again like this again. Where's the pilots? Where's the pilots? Let's just scroll down all the way. So the free pilots, again, just good co-pilot skill. He just outclass a lot of the older ones. Definitely a good unit to grab. You definitely want to grab this unit. It's, for new players, you can even use her as a main pilot, and for older players in Apex, this will be a very, very, very good. If not, you can probably even use it in top 44 if you're lacking units, or if you're lacking good co-pilot skills. You can probably even use these in in a high level PvP, because they are not too bad. Even just this one, final damage reduction by 21%. That's really, really good. And of course, just more damage and extra damage. Or this one, just cancel your end lag. That's also pretty good as well. Just completely power creep farm off as a free pilot, so pretty crazy. So a new player, you can use it as a main pilot. For older player, you can definitely use it as a good co-pilot skill. So great free pilots, great free pilots. And now for her, she's also pretty much used exclusive for as a co-pilot skill, as a co-pilot. But and again, for free to play or for new players, you can definitely use her as a main pilot as well. But it's not gonna be better than your Awaken that you can probably get very, very soon. So their special is very good. It's top tier. Every time you take 10% HP, immune to damage and such, and also give you some extra buff and damage. It's very, very top tier actually for special. But it is nothing that you couldn't substitute with something else. Not the exact effect, but you can probably go for something that is just slightly less meta, and it can probably still work as well. But this skill is still pretty good overall. And for the defensive skill, is just getting higher HP now is also pretty good. And of course, you also give your allies some debuff as well, and of course damage reduction as well, for herself, for every attack that is other than normal type damage. That's pretty good. Good defensive co-pilot skill as well. And for the control is also a very good one. You can use this as support if you're using it on Lens of the Lake. Like whoever you have on Lens of the Lake, you can use her on, and can potentially be a really good team. I guess a aggro taker or a good tank. So when your team is about to die or something like that, you can take the aggro from the enemies and such. So overall, very, very good. Like her second skill is definitely a meta co-pilot skill, and that is for now. Her defensive is just a good overall defensive skills that can use. And for support, if you know 4 if you want to use it on, you know, if you have Lens on the Lake and you want Lens on the Lake to be tanking and such. So this should be her. Do I think she is worth, you know, trying to get her in the bar? I think so, but I don't know if she will worth, like, let's say, I think 5,000 gems would worth her, you know. Anything over 5,000 gems, I don't really think, you know, you might as well just substitute her with something like, you know, with another units, right? But I feel like you probably can't get her in within 5,000 gems, I think. Hopefully in the bar, so hopefully you can get it. And now, lastly, for the new unit that come in this patch, now she's actually a unit that is usually used as a main pilot, but in PvE only, but only in the very top PvE. For if you're like, I mean, you can use her in PvE as well, but again, without like a proper team setup, I don't really think she would be. I mean, she'll be good still, but I don't think you can utilize her fully. And by the time you have a meta PvE team, you know, there might already be better, you know, PvE pilots that already came out. So yeah, I don't think it is mainly for top PvE players to use her as a main you know, as a main pilot. And her first 2 skills are basically the PvE based stuff. Now the first 2 skills is, you know, a good DPS for all of your allies for 10 seconds, and of course it will also retain 1/3 of that, which again is very good in PvE. And for every 1 second some attack hits, it will, you know, reduce all enemies cooldowns, and you know well, hold on a second. Oh yeah, so wait, hold on. Oh, just a good just a good buff for Ella, because, you know, if you can, you know, be doing damage, you know, every second, it just, you know, every second it can give, you know, your whole team basically a 6-second action cooldown reduction, which is very powerful. This skill alone power creeps, I think, Lokai as well as power creeps most of the support pilots actually. Just yeah, power creeps, Lokai's power creeps, Ryoma, and just pretty strong. And definitely pair up with like something like Hongwu Retrofit for the amount of, you know, multi hits, and for the amount of just, you know, because, you know, Hongwu or Zhonghu Retrofit does also want, you know, action cooldown for him to for it to activate its, you know, debuff field from his actions. So pretty great. So at these 2 skills, you definitely want to max if you were to get her, because, you know, for top PvE you need these 2 skills. The second 2 skills are good competitive skills for PvP, but then you will have to choose on, you know, depending on which one you use. You know, the one that you use are probably the one you should max, and the one you use less or don't use, you probably shouldn't, you know, you probably should not, you know, max. You probably shouldn't max it. So for the third skill, attack, just when we attack, you know, all the enemies will also get basically the same type of elemental damage onto all enemies. And now that's pretty good, because for explosive fire, for explosive fire, normal, and acid, it does a normal knockdown. Now, normal knockdown, for those who don't know, is an ancient, it's an OG knockdown that isn't, you know, making your enemies perform a knockdown action, right? So the OG knockdown, now most things can be immune to it, you know, G mode, you know, or if you just bring, you know, a China Stabilizer or just some other, you know, normal, like basically, you wouldn't get through a lot of the protection that most units just have it by default nowadays. But for the unit that somehow doesn't have it, it can potentially cause a lot of havoc for your enemies getting knocked down a lot, you know, from this skill, because, you know, it is every 0.1 second, and if the pilot for, you know, and if the unit that you use this co-pilot skill on, it might just, you know, be the winning move or something like that, right? So, but I don't think in today's meta it might be that much of a difference, because, you know, there are probably outs to that into this meta. So, but I don't know, it's still a very good co-pilot skill that can potentially use, especially in Apex. but then her defensive skills are even stronger because when your HP is over 50%, it will basically reduce your final damage taken by 28%, and it will also, you know, double for self. Now that's kind of broken because for those who don't know, this is basically a better Virgo. For those who don't know, yeah. So better Virgo. Where's Virgo? Pets. Let me. I think I have it. So let's just go. Yeah, here. So Virgo pets, right? So it is basically a better Virgo, which is a very strong PVE, you know, PvP unit. You know, I'm pretty sure most knows that. It's basically a better version of that because, you know, double doesn't mean it adds up. It's like, you know, 28% on top of the 28%. So it does actually give more, you know, defense than Virgo does, and of course half of the effect will also, you know, be given to your allies. So it's just a very strong co-pilot to have, you know, in any meta. So I think you probably max this one more. I have the other one max because, you know, find it to be more funny to do that. Also, yeah, hold on. But anyway, yeah. So I think this skill, if you lack good, you know, if you lack good PVE DPS or PVE or PvP co-pilot skill, then I think you definitely use this one because, you know, it doesn't just buff your the unit that you use the co-pilot on, but also your whole team as well, and it can potentially be a game changer. Also, I didn't finish on the third skill. For the third skill, beam also does like a good like a 1% collision damage on all enemies, so that's not bad. And I think for ice, I think the tester who tested it couldn't find out what ice does, but the unit that you want to probably prioritize are the unit that use, you know, explosive, fire, normal, or acid on the unit that you want to use the third skill on. But for the fourth skill, anything can work. You know, it doesn't matter which one you put on, it will be a really good co-pilot skill for that. If not for the, I mean, it'll definitely be good for the pilot, or like for the units that you're piloting, as long as it's not like Kane or something. But it can definitely benefit your team, especially. So okay, so that should be it about this co-pilot. This pilot, I will give this pilot the same thing, like the same, probably a bit higher than the Lens of the Lake pilot, like maybe 6,000 gems. If you couldn't get her within 600 gems, then I don't think it's worth it. But I mean, if you already spent 600 gems to try to get her in the bars I'm talking about, then you probably should try to get her still. But that's my worth that I would put into these pilots. If you couldn't show that much amount of pilots, or like that much amount of gems, I guess, then I would probably suggest you just, you know, use the free rolls, like you use a free exchange, you know, table or something like that, right? Yeah, I think, I don't know, I just think they're really strong, right? They're really strong, but you will live without them. You will live without them. Yeah, for both for PvE though, in top level PvE, you kind of want her still. Like you kind of want the do like her pilots, but for average players, I don't think any of them are completely necessary. As you probably, like for veterans, they probably have, you know, better co-pilot skills, or like equal, you know, or equal to co-pilot skills coming to them. So alright, so that should be everything I want to talk about today. I am so freaking tired. I probably gonna just do some rolling and such. And again, for those who don't know, for Gira, I'm gonna talk about it after, you know, the 4v4 damage report comes out, and then and then I'll talk about it, because I don't know how it, you know, I don't know how it is, you know, in Ian, considering, you know, with such a long, you know, stuff. I'm way too tired right now, man. Jesus Christ, I haven't slept since Halloween. Well, not, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, is there anything to roll on? I don't even know. I think I exhaust most of the stuff. I'm saving the tickets for the thing. Yeah, I'm saving the tickets for something else. for the next collab, Mecha. I haven't been PvP a lot lately. I've been randomly dropping, especially Ian. Haven't touched. Like I've been logging in and just doing dailies. Not trying to, or at least try to do as much daily logins as possible. Not even I don't even complete the whole thing. I just complete like 2 of them and then call it a day. Alright, is there anything I haven't done on this account? If not, I'll just probably close this account and then... Or like, I'll close this game, just go on my Ian account. Just double check if everything's fine. Alright, I think... Yeah, I think... Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think I got everything, I believe. At least on the... Gosh. Too tired, man, too tired. Now my it dropped so much. It dropped like 200 because I just haven't been playing PvP a lot. I mean, I did roll a lot of the modern units, but you know what? Yeah, I don't have the time to play as much. I got 1 copy, yay! I just need a few more. Have I even done the collab yet? I don't think I've done the second parts, right? Yeah. Ooh. Alright. My team haven't changed for so long. Alright. Anything I haven't done? I don't think so. You're attacking me lately? Now that I've fallen so much? Not really. Alright. Have you been attacked yet today? Oh, hold on. Also, yeah, if you guys have any questions, just ask now. If not, I'll just probably call it a day, because yeah, I am way too tired. Also, if anyone wants a corp, right? Our corps are mostly all in top 10s, aside from Throne, which Throne, is for, it's close to top 10, and usually does have the space. So yeah. Wow, they're really not bad. Alright. Have any here? What's my pro ranking? Or is this even on here? I'm not 16 on that, okay. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna call it a day now, man. Thank you so much for coming by, man. If I'm missing anything, or if I want to correct anything, it'll be in the comments and in the description. And again, happy Halloween for those who celebrate it. And good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Well, I mean, it's morning for me, but I probably gonna go to sleep soon after this one. I'm sure I did get everything. I'll just, probably check Ian as well. Rip. I think I'll probably. Just don't wait until 119, because I think it's a better number I like. If anything I haven't got yet. I think most of the stuff is updated. Yeah, now corp rankings here. Most of the one with rabbits and along with throne, they're all crows, so they won't go. I don't mean anymore. Alright, so anyway, goodbye anybody, goodbye.